Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Sippin and Trippin podcast, where we connect with amazing people. Today's topic is: Are we living in a matrix or a simulated universe? I am your host, Desmond Black, and the person that's sipping and tripping with me today is a returning guest by the name of Danny Wolff. It's an honor and a privilege to have you back on the show, and that, like always, I like to check in. So, with that being said, how are things going for you?
Things are going all right. It's an honor and privilege to be back here, and hopefully more and more will happen. That'd be
Right, right,
great.
right, right. No, no doubt, no doubt. Anything changed since the last time we spoke?
Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, I looked up some of the comments that were posted on it. I learned a little more. I found out that there's a possibility that some of the stuff that was posted may not have been accurate, but I learned.
As far as so what we talked about last? As far as how the universe was created, or the religious part.
The religious part. We wound up.
Okay.
Someone wound up posting some names and whatnot, and then original people with that were married to Adam. And I looked it up, and I don't think it was Cindy. You see, it posted it was Cindy. I'm pretty sure it was Lilith that was supposed
Oh,
to be the person, and I'm pretty sure it was never in actually any Bible. It was just theorized that Lilith was the original wife.
I got you. I got you. Interesting, interesting. But I had fun last the last
Yeah.
segment, man. Because it was a topic that I was what's the word I'm gonna use? Very interested in, but I
Hmm.
wasn't that knowledgeable. But I did a lot of research, and like I said in the last segment, it's a lot of things that was intriguing to me. I was like, okay, there she goes.
Yeah. Hey,
What's up?
welcome back. I hope you're having a good time at work.
Yeah, no doubt. First day back.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like with this segment, it should be a little bit more entertaining and a little bit more informative. Because the Matrix. Are we living in a simulated universe? And that's intriguing as well. They make so many movies based off of this, and I've seen a lot of movies where I was highly entertained. And it's funny how you got that background, the Matrix. That's that's that's, that's apropos right there. Like that's that ties hand in hand with the
I,
conversation,
I
man.
try to be I try to be thematic.
All right. Take a sip right quick.
Oh yeah, what are
Mm.
we sipping on?
Today just vodka and cranberry.
Oh, okay. Well, I went with a little bit of straight fireball on
Straight
ice.
straight fireball. Ooh,
Oh yeah, it's
hot.
gonna hurt, but it's
So
gonna be good.
a lot a lot of cinnamon. But all right, so what? Let's open up with the first question I have for you, right? Do you believe that aliens are real?
100 million%, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so let's dive into that for a minute. Why do you think aliens are real?
Okay, so my personal opinion is that I hope they are because it can't just be us. We are awful. There's got to be something more or something better, or even if there's not better, at least there's got to be something different. Plus, also the size of the universe. There's got to be more than just us. We can't just be that special. We can't be that unique that it's only just us. It, um,
Right.
that's just I don't know. It's existential. It's saddening and exciting all at the same time if we are the only ones, but if we're not, that's also exciting.
Right. So it's crazy you said that because as I was growing up, man, watching movies and hearing whispers about aliens, I always was like, I hope there is a such thing as an alien, right? Like, long as nobody calls harm to me or my loved ones, I hope
Mhm.
there is an extraterrestrial being because it's
Yeah,
very intriguing. And it's just like when people have animals, they have pets, and they come to love them. How do we know that aliens are negative? Aliens might, if aliens exist, they might greet us with open arms,
right. They
and
that's
they
right. They
might
could.
teach us. They might teach us. We might teach them. We might be able to coexist together, and that's great.
Or there's a possibility. There's always the possibility of they already know us. They already know everything about us because they've been
Yeah,
watching from really far and just seeing how we've been.
it's crazy. I also try to look at it like that, right? But then I was like, well, for as long as Earth was around, if they was watching us, why haven't they never poked their head out and said hi or surprise?
No,
You know?
but that's the thing. If you ask a million people, I mean, heck, there's uh, entire genres on they already have it's already happened. I mean, there's
Right.
ideas that they're already here, and not just one version of them. There might be different versions. There might be multiple ones, and some may
Right.
be good, some may be bad. But I'm gonna go with I'm hoping if they're advanced enough that they're advanced enough to be helpful and kind.
Right. Yeah, yeah, like I said, that's definitely great, you know. Um what was I about to say? So it's crazy. So the last segment we was talking about how the universe was created, right? And we even tapped into the conversation of biblically how religious people say the world and the universe is created. We tapped in on the possibility of, well, not possibility, but the billions or millions of galaxies and the earth forms. And we touched bases on a lot of things in the last
Mhm.
segment. So, and it's funny how all of this really ties into each other, right? So we talked about how was the universe created, right? We talked about
Mhm.
that a little bit. Then we talked about, well, God created the earth, or did he? Right. So, and I just asked you if aliens exist. And the basis of this conversation or this topic today is, are we living in a simulated universe? Are we living in a matrix? Right. So it's funny because we go back to how the universe is created. We talk about the creation. Uh yeah. So it's a couple things that I'm gonna save because I'm gonna touch bases on, later as we speak. But yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I see
Yeah,
we already at seven views for the night. That's awesome.
good. Thank you everybody
So
for showing up.
absolutely. So
Share us, like us, subscribe, all that stuff.
comment, yeah, all of that. Yeah, one other thing I would say is, like ever since I started streaming in live to Facebook, man, I know a lot of people has been showing me love and saying, I like this look for you. I like where you're going with this. Like just keep it up and don't stop. So everybody that's mentioned that or said that or support me, I support y'all, right? Because if it wasn't for me, it wouldn't be you. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be me. So you
Yep.
guys make this possible. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So as I did research, right, like uh on aliens, right? Let's touch bases on that first, right? Now I've come to realize that well, as far as what I've been able to research is they haven't found too much information on the existence of aliens, but it's a lot of theories and concepts and beliefs, right? So
A lot of
one of the things that
circumstantial stuff that they've been able to find,
right,
ideas, theories based upon things that don't seem like we could do it. So the only
right,
without a logical explanation, the other explanation is either God did it or aliens.
yeah, and that's what comes down to. Like, we talked about in the last something how I found it like intriguing or difficult to believe that the average or the human mind could possibly come up with such creations, right? You remember that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and it's extraordinary. It's definitely that. I think that's one of the things that keep life going, right? Like the human brain is always moving, it's always functioning, it's always thinking. Even when you sleep, a lot of people don't know that. They think when you go to sleep, your mind stop working. No, it's constantly working, and that's where dreams come from. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Because
know.
your mind.
I think dreams are you going into an alternate universe and
Oh
you're just
shit.
experiencing something else.
Oh shit. Hey, you know what? Now I'm intrigued where you was gonna go with that. Well, maybe we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
Mm. So the possibility of extraterrestrial life has always fascinated people. People have speculated about alien life on Mars and other nearby planets ever since we realized there were different points of light in the night sky. Um, Today, even though our technology and capabilities have allowed us to study these worlds up close and listen to planets and other stars, we still don't have concrete answers to the questions of whether or not we're alone in this universe. Right. So that brings me to my next question. So you say you believe in aliens. So let me twist it slightly, right? How likely is it that aliens exist?
Ooh, so there is an equation. I do not remember what it was called, but basically, the equation is there is so many habitable planets out there that are capable of having life. Now
Right.
we aren't able to reach them, um, and but they have oxygen rich, liquid water and whatnot, and it's proper temperature. They're in the the Goldilocks area of where they can actually create have life if life sprung up like life happened on Earth. So so it's a possibility. There's a huge amount of numbers on whether or not um, it's capable. Now, there's also the possibility that we're either A, we're early to the event or we're late to the event.
Mm.
If we're early to the event, meaning we are the first and many other things are behind us, like they may be in the caveman days, or we're late to the party and everybody's already had their civilizations way out in outer space and they've all died off. Something has happened. They may have hit a wall where they couldn't pass it and they never survived, and then we just came late to the party and we're just the next version of it. um,
Mm.
so both are equally interesting, because if we're late to the party, then that means there should be stuff we should be able to find. But if we're
Right.
early to the party, that means there may not be anything for us to find because there's nothing out there yet.
Right.
For all
Right.
we know, we are the aliens, and we're going to be the ones who are another planet is looking for.
Right. That's an interesting way to put it. Another thing I've been I don't know who that is. All right, we got somebody that liked it. Okay. So Mr. James Glasser or
Yes,
Glazier.
Glazer.
Okay. So so it's mainly because of the movie Aliens, right? You know how they looked human, but when the one guy, he got his stomach or something like that punctured, and it was oozing out like green, and it was like weird looking. So they call him a droid, like an android. That's what they call him. So it's funny, like when ask you, how come they haven't poked their head out and say surprise? How do we know aliens don't appear from the outside like humans? They might look like us, but the insides might be different. That's another thing we would never know.
There's a possibility. There could be. I mean, there are people who believe that there are, lizard
Mm,
people that actually live among us now currently, and basically, they are capable of changing your vision of them. So
mm,
therefore, they can manipulate your brainwaves into you believing that they are a normal-looking human, but in
right.
reality, in their reality, they look like normal lizard people. Um, and then there's also a possibility that yes, there are actually humanoid aliens that look very much like us, um,
Right.
and that we wouldn't really know much of a difference if we just side by side comparison. Um,
Right.
and the hard part would be is how what if they didn't know either? There's a possibility that they didn't know.
Right.
Um, but there's always a possibility. I think that if there were others that were unable to modify their appearance or their view, then they might be in hiding, and those might be the ones that people say, "Oh well, we caught one on camera. It's blurry, but it's a gray, or it's a
Right.
tall, thin one, or it's one with the eyes of a lizard, or all these different ones." Because to be honest, I think it was Tommy Lee Jones in the movie. Uh, what was the movie? Uh, yep, I blanked out.
What, Men in Black?
Men in Black, yes. So the first one where he says, the one guy says, "Oh well, you, why wouldn't you tell everybody that there are aliens?" then there are no aliens to bust your bubble. So, so then he says, "Well, why don't you tell everybody? People, people understand. People are smart." And he responds with, "No, a person is smart, but people are
Right.
panicky and unruly, and everyone will lose their mind." Well, as we see around us, that is very true. Maybe you may be able
Right.
to
Right.
have a conversation with an individual person, but
Right.
as for telling a group of people, no. No, everyone would lose their mind. We're not ready for that.
Right. Nice to see you join the party, Chef. Listen, you said sorry to bust my bubble. You say put it again. So listen, at the end of the day, like it makes for a great conversation, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people believe in aliens, a lot of people believe it exists, you know what I'm saying? So for those who believe, like I said, this might be informative to them and this is something for them. And if you don't believe in it, hey, you might hear something in this podcast episode that spike of interest. You might be like, hold up. I'm curious now. So, that's all that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. We here to entertain, conversate, and educate. That's all. You know what I like to say.
And that's fine.
What up?
If there are naysayers, then by all means, post
Right.
and we can discuss it.
Hey, chef, are you sipping? He said we were kings. I mean, I believe that. I
Yeah.
like to look at myself as a king. So powerful king. Uh, so I was doing like research, obviously, right? So it says one of the things that like first of all, before I even get to that, like it again, I said this on the last segment, like the math. I don't know, I don't understand how scientists come up with the mathematics that they come up with.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's funny. So I say that to say this, man. So the observable universe may contain 2 trillion or more galaxies. Our Milky Way I mean, our Milky Way galaxy alone is thought to contain at least 100 billion stars, right? As an exoplanet, research continues to uncover the prevalence of planets around other stars. It looks increasingly like that. Uh, it looks increasingly like the vast majority of stars in the universe have at least one planet around them. That's one thing I thought was interesting,
Mm.
right? How they say amongst so many. I think we touched bases on this vaguely before, like how they
In our
think it's the
last one,
universe. How
yeah.
they think, yeah, a universe is contained in X amount of stars, and it's a lot of stars in the sky. Like we can never count them. So as the exploration of our solar system has shown us, moons can also be hospitable to life as we know it. What do we mean when we say aliens?
Well, I would say everyone may have their own interpretation. I mean, there are domestic aliens and then there are extraterrestrial aliens. Basically,
Yeah.
it's anybody who's not around us in our immediate area. Um,
Mm.
if I would have to say an alien would be anything outside of our atmosphere, because even
Okay.
the moon, if there was an entire populace on the moon, we would probably still consider them aliens. They wouldn't be outer space aliens, but aliens because they're outside of our atmosphere. um,
Right.
so uh, they would be well within our neighborhood, and i'm
Right.
sure i'm sure that maybe one day it'll be a branch of us, maybe.
Right.
uh,
And it's funny when you said like the domesticated, like, aliens and out of this world aliens. It's funny. You know what? One thing I always was curious about, like, why do they call people illegal aliens? Why do they give them that term aliens?
because they're
That's so
outside of
weird.
our immediate area. Our immediate area. Anyone who's beyond our outside immediate area who come in would be alien. They're strange to our culture norms or our area.
But see, that's so weird because like a lot of Africans, or they came from Africa, they migrated over to the United States, right? So once they moved to the United States and they become citizens, you don't call them an alien. Mexicans come from Mexico and they come here, we don't call them aliens, right? But
Oh
like
yeah,
when they're in their own country, all of a sudden the United States say That's an illegal alien. Like that's
The,
crazy.
the reason why, all right, so you can become acclimated and you can become a domestic by time. The term, I think, alien has a time frame, most likely. Now, this is my opinion. I don't know. Someone might post that that's completely wrong, um, but I think it has a time frame that after a certain amount of time, you are no longer an alien. Uh, just like the term local. You know,
Right.
are you a local or are you not a local? And then after a
Yeah.
certain amount of time, you become a local because you've been
Right.
there for so long.
Right. I get it. So it's like a play on words, I guess. It's just weird how we use. That's why they they always say like the English language is so complex because we use like different lingos or slang or we put things together that's different. That's why when you put English through a translator, sometimes it come out funky. You put other languages in there and it comes out proper,
Hmm.
right? Because we live in the United States, but we don't speak proper English, which is also funny to me. When I was in school and they said that, I was like, "What are you talking about? We talk English." It's like, no, we speak broken English and proper English. So as I got older, I was like, I looked into it. I'm like, all right, they got a point. I understand what they're saying, but it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? So assuming that aliens are real, right? Where might aliens exist? Because we went to Mars, we didn't see nothing. You know, we went to the moon, didn't see nothing. So if they exist, where might aliens exist?
All right, so all right, good question. So there's a possibility that aliens are already here. There's also that if let's assume that we are the ones that are late to the party. All right, so
Hmm.
that means that they have had a quite a leg up on development, so they may know how to hide better. For all we know, they have some sort of cloaking technology or something like that where they can actually hide from us. Because to be honest, we're crazy and we're violent. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to meet us. So then, just like if we had a time machine and we went back to the caveman days, you're not gonna walk up to a caveman and just give him a hug. No, they will beat you to a bloody pulp because you're
yeah,
weird and you're different and you may be a
yeah,
threat. So
yeah. Their instincts gonna tap in. And they gonna be like, "Oh, what is this?" They're gonna look at us
yeah,
like we're not human. They're gonna
exactly.
look
Like
at us
we're
like we're
aliens.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
so
feel
then
that.
so then so I feel as though they're out there and they're just hiding, and even if they're on the planet earth, they're also hiding because we wouldn't be ready. And even if we were ready, not all of us are ready.
Right.
I mean, hell, we can't even forgive each other. How are we? And we can't even get along with who we already have. How are we gonna get along with a whole nother space bearing people?
Right. 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 You know. So this next question, I think it's a good question.
Hmm.
Uh. So if people think God is a spirit and can't be seen with the naked eye, right?
Hmm.
Why why do they not believe that aliens or the possibility of alien existence is a thing? Because we nobody can see God. So but we believe in God. So if we could believe in God, we can't see him, we can't hear him. We don't see aliens, we don't hear aliens, but you believe in God, but you don't believe in aliens. Why do you think that is?
Oh, because well, there are lots of people who believe in aliens. A lot of people, and I'm not saying that that belief is not true because there very well physically could be.
Yeah,
But I think God is a concept. I don't think it's a physical, tangible person or entity that you can actually touch and speak to. Aliens is more of a physical, tangible thing. Um,
right.
so then, now, who's to say? Who's to say that God isn't an alien?
See, that's a
So,
good question because
uh, you know,
I was actually going to ask that. Yeah. So who's to say?
because it
Who's to
very well
say?
could be, and not just an alien. Who's to say that he's not an entire alien race? He may be multiple aliens because we're supposed to believe that he is everywhere and sees everything. Well, I mean, one person may not be able to do that, but a whole race could do that. A whole race could watch and then
Hmm.
act as one. Um, or we could just believe that God is the creator. Well, it could have been a race that created us.
Right.
um maybe we weren't just spontaneous out of soup, or maybe we didn't do the very slow progression of evolvement. Who's to say that an alien race didn't come in, mess around in our DNA and whatnot, and then just we had a spontaneous, very short evolution.
Right. It's funny you said that because you said maybe God is a race, right? Like a whole
Hmm.
entire like race. It's funny you said it because according to the Bible, they say the Holy Trinity, right? The God,
Yeah,
the Father, and the Holy Spirit. So that ties into what you was just saying. You trying to say He's more than one being, all wrapped up into one. So hey, it's a lot of possibilities out there, and we would never know. You know what I mean? It's crazy. The world's crazy, and yeah, it gets deep.
it's
Um,
interesting, and that's what makes life worth being alive.
right,
You can always ask these questions. You can dive down deep in rabbit holes, and you could just keep on going and going and going. Now, of
right.
course, hopefully nobody dives way too deep to where they have no oxygen and then they just go crazy.
Yeah, because too much of anything is too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, so like again, like what you were just saying, like how do we know aliens didn't create the world and the universe, right? Like
Right.
this goes back to the first segment, where we said how was the universe created? Like again, if God's alien and the Bible says God created the heavens and the earth, how do we know? How do we know aliens didn't create or the alien if God was an alien? How do we know he didn't? An alien didn't create the universe.
Right. Because
Go ahead.
so yeah, you're right, because there's a possibility that our view of the universe was created by an alien or whatnot, because there's a possibility that, who knows, they could have created a simulation that we can only perceive certain things.
Right. It's I almost looked it up, but I'm just gonna go off the cuff. First, I'm gonna ask you, right? Like, so by definition, how would you break down the definition of extraterrestrial being? Because
Oh,
I think is good because what my wheels is turning right now. So, how would you break down the definition, or how would you define what an extraterrestrial is?
ooh, so I would have to think an extraterrestrial, in my opinion, would be something that is completely different than what would be an earthbound, like a human entity, because we're carbon based and we're based on certain things. I would say an extraterrestrial alien would be structurally and maybe biologically completely different,
Mm,
maybe even built off of different building blocks than what people and all of life on Earth is built of. Because all of
right,
life on Earth is built off of carbon. We're,
right,
we're, we're that. So who's to say that an alien, uh, extraterrestrial, is not built on silicone or diamond? Who knows? Which
right.
is carbon.
So,
Diamond's carbon, but
so I'm gonna tell you how I came to that question, right? So when we talk about God, right? So to me, if for me to define the word extraterrestrial, it'd be out of this world, unusual, unhuman like. And that fits the characteristics of God. That's unhuman like. If you know what I'm saying? You don't walk like us, talk like us, you know what I'm trying to say? So that's extraterrestrial. That's out of this world. If you're able to do godly things, like create the world, create the heavens, the animals, and everything, the concepts, the way of thinking, to me, that's alien like.
yeah,
You know what
but
I mean?
you would, but it's a perception, because, to be honest, to animals we are God.
Right,
We outlive them by a far margin. We are the ones who provide food. They don't know how we get their food, but all of a sudden they
right,
look at us, they want food, they're hungry, they meow at us, they bark at us, and all of a sudden we
yeah,
produce food, and then boom, they got
yeah,
exactly what they wanted. To
mm,
lower beings or whatnot, we are God. So who knows? Maybe our version of God is just somebody who's just way more evolved, and it just
yeah.
provides.
I got you. So in a moment, we're gonna touch on whether or not life is a simulation, right? But how do we know that we are not controlled by aliens before we get into the simulation part? How do we know we're not controlled by aliens? I think you mentioned that not so long ago. You
Yeah.
know?
So there's a possibility we have influence. There's a possibility that we're influenced, but I don't think it would be a possibility for direct control.
Okay.
Direct control would be probably difficult because that would be puppeting. We would be puppeted by an alien race. Okay, but then that takes away any freedom. But we could be coerced. We could be convinced. Um,
Mm,
they could do something that makes one person believe something, and then they could promote that person. It would be
mm.
more of a gentle nudge towards a belief. Um,
Okay.
but as for direct control, I don't think so.
So all right, so I said control because right, so like I said, we about to get into whether or not we live in a matrix if life is a simulation, right? Um so let me see. Say that the belief in aliens, right? And so oh no, they say that the belief in aliens is science fiction. But the question is this: is the Bible and God fiction or nonfiction?
This is gonna trigger so many people. So,
That's true.
so I foresee your uncle and other people just jumping on, and you'd be like,
My
you're
two
lying."
brothers, yeah,
Yeah, they're like,
yeah,
"You're lying. Stop the cap." No more. So,
yeah.
um, uh,
So let me repeat the question real quick. I said they say that the belief in aliens is science fiction. But my question is this: is the Bible and God, is it fiction or is it nonfiction?
I would personally say fiction.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "No, it's fact. It's fact. It's provable." Blah blah blah. All right, fine. But you know, uh, beings that it was written by man, albeit maybe some of it was written because God was spoken through a person and they put pen to paper, but they used God's words and directly put it on there. All right, I could see that, but ultimately, without God coming down and actually having arms and putting a pen down and writing it himself, I think it's just an imagination situation.
Hmm. Okay. So like I said, we about to jump into the whole simulation matrix thing, right? But something for you to think about real quick. What if what if Earth was a video game for aliens?
Oh, we're a bad video game. They need to get their money back.
I'm saying so it's a lot. So you said people we're crazy, right? That's true. It's a lot of chaos here on Earth, right? So how do we know Earth is not just a video game for aliens? Because look, are you into video games?
Yeah, sure.
So you've played RPGs,
Oh
role
yeah,
playing games.
yeah,
So it's endless possibilities, right? Like you can walk over here, or you can walk 5 foot over this way and have a different outcome,
yeah,
right? And so a video game is nothing but a simulation, right? That it's like the movie The Matrix. That's all it is.
yeah,
Because to be in a matrix, it's simulated. It's a simulated universe. It means you control by something. So, hey, God could be playing a video game, right? With Earth and all of its beings, or an alien could do the same. So that's just something to ponder on a little bit. That's crazy.
Well,
Something that I've been
but
thinking about for the past
the
week.
idea of that, if we were a video game, that means that somebody, either one of two things. All right, it could be an MMORPG, which is basically aliens have their own characters, and each one of us is controlled by an external alien. If it's a
Mm,
simulation, whatnot, or a video game,
right,
and that each one
right.
of us, when we go to sleep, that's them logging out and them doing their day. And then when we wake up, all of a sudden they log back in, and now they're controlling us and doing our stuff. I know
Right,
if that's
right.
true, then I don't like my player because my player is just put me in the wrong place. So,
Right.
but or my player is drunk, one or the other. So, so then, that means that a lot of people would be controlled and they would be doing their own thing. Now, I'm sure you've met some people that are NPCs, non-player characters, people who just seem like they're automated. They seem like they're not there, nothing's happening. Someone's
Right.
AFK, they're away from the keyboard, they're off to the
Wait,
bathroom.
wait. You got lost me with that. What's AFK?
AFK, away from keyboard.
Oh,
So somebody's AFK, and I'm like, all right, well, then you see that person just kind of like staring off into space, not doing anything. You're like, okay, their player must be AFK. So,
yeah.
and then, but it just looking at how the world is, I could see how that could be a thing because some people do some crazy stuff, like some out
Right.
of control stuff, and that it's got to be just other people thinking, like players that are like, hey, you know what would be really cool if we just stick these pieces of cardboard to our arms and try to jump off the third-story roof and see if we could fly. Because who the heck thinks of that stuff? No, only
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't care would do that.
Don't loony bins.
Yeah. So,
So so all
but
right, let me ask you this. Well,
yeah,
this for you and whoever might be watching, right? Anybody can comment if they so
yeah,
please, right?
please do.
So would the discovery of aliens invalidate the Bible? I think that's a great question.
That
If
is a great
the
question.
discovery of aliens invalidate the Bible.
So, yeah, I think it would because the Bible is it's supposed to be a depiction of Earth, only Earth,
Hmm.
and
Right.
the different planes of existence of potentially hell and heaven.
Right.
So now, if it only described that stuff, well, where the heck are the passages about the alien coming over, or the spaceship that was supposed to be,
Right.
or this other planet where these other things came from? Where are those?
Right.
And then that would be a bias, which would lead credence to the it was a man-made uh, thing. The Bible was a man-made thing.
Right. So so keeping with the Bible for a minute. In the Bible it says God created the heavens and the earth. Nowhere did it mention that God created hell, a such thing called hell. But religious people, they believe there is a hell, right? So why do you think that is? Because I don't understand it. And some people I talk to, they were like, "Oh, well, heaven and hell is not a physical place." But you say hell don't exist, but you say heaven exists. To me, that just don't make sense to me.
So the last time we spoke, yes, I brought that up that I don't believe hell exists, but heaven may. Um, so I don't think hell exists yet because in the
Mm,
Bibles, of what I've heard and conversations that I've had with other people, some are pastors, some are highly religious people. They impart their knowledge on me. Is that I don't think hell has opened yet, and I'm pretty
mm,
sure it only opens when the rapture happens, when the
mm,
apocalypse starts.
mm,
That's when hell opens, and then but what I've also believed is that I believe that the what everyone calls the devil, he went to take over heaven. Okay, well, he went to go take over heaven. He lost, and he was cast out into the lake of fire. Okay, great, wonderful. Well, then that's where he's going to stay until hell opens. Um, I find it hard to believe that God would be like, hey, you know what? I know that you tried to overthrow me and that you may not be great and you're probably evil and whatnot, but I'm going to put you in charge of this kingdom to torture
mm.
people. Who would do that? No. Okay.
It, it's crazy that you said it because people look at hell as a negative thing, right? It might be a negative thing if you say humans gonna get sent to hell, but guess what? Like you just said, I never thought about it that way, but I smiled as you said it. If he's a ruler of hell, that's his kingdom,
Yeah.
right? So, as you said, I also find it hard to believe that God is sitting there and say, you know what, you're evil. You're the opposite of me. You don't deserve to live. You deserve the worst. But I'm gonna give you your own kingdom, right? So
Yep.
it's that's hey, I like how you put that. I like how you worded that because
So
that's exactly what hell will be for the devil or for Satan or Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. It will be
yep.
his kingdom. So you're gonna create a whole kingdom for somebody that's unjust.
Yeah, somebody
Insane.
who wants to take over. So you're going to give him an entire kingdom, which all of the most evilest of souls, the baddest of people, go, well, who do you think would be on the devil's side then? If it's the most
Hmm.
evilest of people. So you're basically putting him in charge of a place where he can amass an army to what? Attack heaven?
Yes. Yes. As you said, to try to overthrow a second time.
Yeah,
Right.
he'll be
So
more
so you
successful next time.
So God had his followers, God had his disciples, right? His apostles. But now you're giving Satan, Lucifer, the devil, you give him the same thing. You give him an army, you giving him a following, you give him apostles, you giving him
Yeah,
messengers.
everything.
It's
And then that's what the
it's
apocalypse is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a battle on Earth for
right,
the souls of for the souls, and
right.
that winds up happening. Now, then that brings back to okay, well, um, with the alien situation, well, now if there may be different planes of existence. Now, I said that there's a heaven. Well, it may not be a physical place that we can actually take a rocket to, but that doesn't mean that it's not a plane of existence because our spirit is and our consciousness is energy. Who's to say that once we die, it doesn't transfer over to another plane of existence that we can't actually go to? Um, Now, if that plane of existence, what if that's just another server?
Yeah,
We're in a simulation. So what if that's just another server? We're just
right.
going to another server.
It's crazy. All right. So I was about to say the last thing about the Bible, but I don't know. Who knows if it's the last thing I'm gonna say about the Bible, but
I'm sure there'll be more.
since the Bible doesn't say anything about intelligent life on other planets, but it also doesn't say that anything. I mean, it doesn't say anything about many Earth-based species, right? Scripture is intentionally focused on the work of God in one small geographic region of our planet.
Mhm.
Yet the claims of Scripture are cosmic in scope. John chapter 1 and Galatians 1 speak of God as the creator of all things. That includes all the stars and the galaxies. If aliens exist, then it was created by God, or aliens were created by God if it exists. If they say God, because the Bible speaks about the cosmos and heavens and the earth. So if aliens exist, then God created them. But it don't mention that in the Bible, right? So, but it's a lot
But
of things the Bible
in
don't.
in that, didn't they say that we were created in the image of God? Well, if that's true, then what were they created in the image of?
Mm, that's a good question. That's a good question. So he created all things. Yeah, that's crazy. Because if aliens exist, God created them. So who were they in the image of? And this goes back to what I was saying before. Like, hey, aliens could take the appearance of humans. We would never know because to us, we're looking at another human.
Because who's
Uh,
to say? All right, so now before we get over to simulation and whatnot, with so who's to say theory theory. Now I know there might be some people out there who are like, nope, that's retarded. So I was just, I'll be like, now who's to say that aliens long ago didn't come here and say, all right, well, we don't see what is considered modern human now, but they found Neanderthals or they found apes, chimps or whatever. And then they wound
mhm.
up saying, okay, you know what? Well, these creatures have the strength, have the ability to evolve, and have the ability to have um, the cognitive uh, ability to uh, do what we want and to understand stuff. Well, they may have gone in and tampered with some of the DNA to to make them less violent or make them more intelligent, uh, or more creative. Who's to say that they didn't create what the modern human is now? And
Mm,
my personal opinion is that if they did do that, you know, they're not here now, so they must have left. The only thing I can think of, my logic, is that they wound up leaving because they created monsters. We are the monsters, and the reason why we are the monsters is not because we're actual scary monsters under the bed. Is that we became too intelligent too quickly. We
mm,
were surpassing the ability that they thought we would be able to do. That may have been an
mm,
oversight of what they wanted us to learn extremely quick, but then we wound up actually learning extremely quick. But then we got consciousness, we got thought, we were able to think existentially about things, and then we were able to question things. So then we started questioning them, we started questioning other things. Plus, we were very smart, we were able to create tools, we were able to make all this stuff. Who's to say that they didn't see this and how rapidly we were evolving and how rapidly we were getting to what we are now, and they saw us as a threat? They decided, no, we made a mistake. You know what? We came here for what we had to do. We're just gonna abandon you guys. You're on your own. Just we're gonna leave you here. And then what we wound up doing is we just kept evolving and getting more and more and more. But we wound up remembering what it was, and we
right.
wrote down our little chalk things and our cave paintings and whatnot. But I feel as though after they left, thousands and thousands of years, we just kept going and going and going. They never came back. But I
Mm,
think others came back because maybe they caught wind. Maybe they caught wind of the creation that the other aliens made, and they were like, hey, you know, let's study these things. Let's
right.
study these beings. Let's see if they're useful to us maybe in the future. Um, and then that's why I believe maybe they may be here watching us, seeing if we're valuable, seeing if we're too violent, if we are the things that the creators say we are. But
Mm,
also that would come together with, okay, well, well,
right.
God created us. Well, if He created us and He was so involved in everything, where did He go? Maybe God was the aliens who actually made us, and then we became a threat, and then He was just like, yeah, you know what, you guys, you're on your own. I'm just gonna leave you alone.
That's why he said, "I'm gonna give you free will. I'm out of here. You
Yeah,
guys are
yeah.
crazy."
You're beat. I'm out.
Mm. It's as you were speaking, the thing that came to my mind was the movie or was it? I think it's either 4 or 5 at this point. The Planet of the Apes, the newer ones. How humans ran these lab tests on the
Yep.
apes, and
Mhm.
they became evolved it, rapidly, right? And then they
Right.
didn't know what to do. They wanted to put them down, but the apes is like, oh no, 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 no. They was able to speak. They was able to form weapons and
Yep.
everything. So
And they were
as you
able
were
to come
speaking,
together. Yeah.
yep. As you were speaking, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And I love those movies, by the way. They're so great. And
Yep.
it's
It's
crazy because I'm
basically
like,
human history right there in a couple movies.
yeah,
My
absolutely.
belief.
Absolutely. It's speaking about movies, it's so many movies, like I said, on Aliens or The Matrix. It's like after watching it, people will be alive. They say that they haven't gave it a thought. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what keeps these type of movies going. It's the intrigue. It's people. It's the unseen. People wanting to see more, and they want to see more because of the possibilities that may be there,
Yep.
right? Because guess so if you create something or you come up
Yep.
with something, like say for somebody tell a bad joke,
Yeah.
you gonna keep telling jokes.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, maybe when you get older, that's why they call them dad jokes. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, you ain't gonna be in a room telling bad joke after bad joke, because then you're gonna be like, "Damn, I'm gonna laugh and stuff." Yeah, they not
Yeah.
laughing at me, staring at me like I'm crazy. So it's the same concept, man. Like they
Yeah.
come up with these movies because they work. They say if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because as a society, as a world, as a culture, as whatever, as human beings, we love this shit.
Mhm.
We're intrigued by this shit. And this is why people keep continue to make it. Because we feed them.
Yeah.
We put the money in their pockets because we like, oh, we want more. They make a movie. when's the sequel coming out? Soon as the movie go off, I want to see the next one.
Yeah,
They're
they're like, I
like,
just didn't want this to end.
yeah, they're like, oh, well, we got something here, so we're gonna keep going, and it's evolution, you know. Um,
And that's fine because you know what? Honestly, a lot of people they love mind bending things. They like mind expanding things because yeah, there are lazy people who are just accepting of what is in front of them, and that's fine. But there are way more people who want to see more. They want to see underneath each layer.
right,
They're fascinated with the mechanics and the possibilities, and that's what we're doing here. I mean, we're fascinated in the possibilities.
right, yeah, because we both said if it's aliens, I like to meet them. I mean, as long as they ain't gonna cause no harm to me, hey, something different. I like things that's different,
But yeah,
right? Because can you imagine a world where it's like 1,000 Danny's and like, no,
it's all the
I
same, and
want something
everyone's
different.
like, "All
Yeah,
right, I'm done with this."
yeah, I want something different. I don't want to see a whole bunch of me's. I don't want to see clones. No,
Just
I
like the
want,
same
like,
thing. You're in your town, okay? You
yeah,
know your town. You know every part about your town. You know everything that's in it and all that. Well, then what do? Well, you
oh,
want to go to
travel.
another town. You want to go to
Yep,
another town and see what's there and see their cultures and see how that's going. Well, you just keep on doing that. Well, I mean, the Earth is pretty much the same way. We know all sorts of stuff. I mean,
right,
we know stuff about what's on the land. We don't know as much
right.
about what's under the water, but still, we want to know more.
Right. It's either you be complacent or you evolve. And you complacent, it's like you live on a rock. You live in this little bubble, you live in this little cave, you
Yep,
have no knowledge of anything because if you don't get out there in the world, you don't go out there and converse with people, you're in that bubble and you will never grow. You can never prosper. So
that's
you
right.
need to expand, right? So part of prospering and growing, right? And growth is to grow. Like when you grow things, you start with seeds for a tree. Start as a little seed, and then it's just a little stump, and it just gets bigger and bigger. That's evolving.
Yeah,
So if you that seed and you don't go nowhere and it's don't get watered, nothing like that, you're done. You're dead in the water. So you
yep.
need
You're
to
gonna wither
evolve.
and
You
you're
need
gonna
to
die.
so expanding your mindset, getting out there in the world is very vital, right? And a lot of
Absolutely.
people they content with just being the same robot and be like, oh, well, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna go in my
those
room.
those people are what's considered NPCs, non-player characters. The people who are not willing to learn are
Yeah,
NPCs.
boring and put cast aside. They the
Yeah,
ones like in a video game when you select your car for like Need for Speed or something or your character and you be like, nah, I don't want him. I want him. Oh, I like the way he look. Oh, he got that drip. Oh, he cool. He look modern. I'm picking him. Right?
yep,
That's the evolving. If you look dull and outdated, and you're like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. So
yeah.
let me say, so there's been an intense public speculation and debate about the nature of reality. The chance that we live in a simulation may be 50-50. Before I continue, you think it's 50-50, or you think the odds is a little bit more in one way or the other?
So it used to be like zero. Everyone was like, "Nah, that's not possible." But the more we learn, the more we look into the box, basically, the more we
Mhm.
figure out, okay, it's a growing possibility that we are in a simulation and that this is the simulation. I mean, hell, we're able to create simulations ourselves.
Right.
And the things inside the simulations don't know that they're in a simulation. Well, who's to say? But if we left
Yeah.
simulations running long enough, they might try to question it,
Right.
but we will know soon enough if AI gets born. I know everyone says AI is already out there, but I think that those are just learning language models and they simulate AI. But AI hasn't actually been born yet. But it's real close. It simulates it real good. But once it's born, who knows? We won't be able to get an answer to it until it actually happens.
Right. So like I said, it's a lot of skeptics out there, man. I'm not gonna say I'm on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. I'm just here for the ride. You know what I'm saying? I know we don't have no scientific proof for these things, but like I said, it's a lot of informative information out there. If you read it,
Yeah.
you definitely gonna be intrigued, and But so I'm not sure. I'm probably gonna botch his name, right? But there's a physicist named Frank Walsek, right? He has argued that there's too much wasted complexity in our universe for it to be simulated. Building complexity requires energy and time, right? What do you think about that?
But it doesn't. It doesn't. So just like in a video game, it can be complex in front of you, but it doesn't
Right.
have to exist behind you. It only has
Right.
to exist when it's in front of you.
Hmm.
Um, so let's say if you're in a room, or you're in a building, and the building, okay, fine, you're the only one in the building. That doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily mean that every single room in that building is rendered at that
Right.
time, because that would be an immense amount of processing power. Now,
Right.
now once you get to certain trigger points of where it tells it, oh, I have to render this room now because he's coming in, that's when it'll render. I don't think it requires that much processing power, but it would require a lot of power.
Right. Right.
And then,
Right.
but there's been theorized that you can do a what's called I believe a Dyson sphere. So and that's basically a gigantic pokeball that goes around a sun. It's like basically it's lined with solar panels on the inside, and it just absorbs every single piece of energy. Well, that's unlimited amount of energy.
Right.
Um, or what our timeline unlimited amount. Um,
Right.
so, and with that, we could have unlimited processing.
Mm.
Um, so it's possible. It is a decent possibility. I don't think we've found anything. I think I just saw an article recently that they may have possibly found evidence of an actual Dyson sphere. It's all broken down, but um, I would have to look it up. Uh, it, but that would generate enough power to be able to
Right.
have uh, an entire planet's size of a simulation.
Well, as well. So, physicists, right? They asked the question, right? They said, why would a conscious, intelligent designer of realities waste so many resources into making our world more complex than it needed to be? Now, that's a hypothetical question, but it's a question that's needed, right? What are your thoughts?
Well, the why is, I don't think, ever relevant because there's no reason for a why for people to be curious. It is a good possibility. There's so much waste, and there's no reason for the waste. But um, for all we know, it was someone wanted to know if it was possible. So of course, let's just throw everything we have at it. Is it, you know, unnecessary? Probably, sure, but you'll never know unless you actually do it.
So this is my thing. So, like I said, the physicist, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm botching his last name, but Frank Walsek, right? So he argued, like I said, he asked the question, like, why would a intelligent, conscious designer create realities, right, and waste so many resources in making it complex? So my thought on that is this: if life was easy, we all be doing something else, right? It's
If
like playing
life
a
was
video game.
easy, we'd be all bored.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if like that's what I said, we'll be doing something else. If you played a video game and it's super duper easy, you play it 5 minutes, you're like, "Ah, I don't want to play it." So the world, life as we know it, we need complex things in complex situations. So for him to question that and say, why would somebody that's so intelligent waste so much resources on making the world so complex? Well, it's because it's a necessity. We need it, right? Like
Hmm?
if it was easy, we all be doing something else. Life is hard, and that's what motivates us. That keeps us going. That's how we're driven, right? If life was so easy, robotic, like super simplified and simulated, I don't know. I don't know what kind of life that would be. That wouldn't be life. That would not be living, right? That'd be like robots, like everybody moving the same formation. They all in sync every hour of the day. That's not life. That's not living.
See,
Living
order
is
order is
having
boring. Chaos is fun.
Right.
So if you're going to be following, want to challenge the next, yeah. So then so if everything's going to be ordered and like you already know what's going to come and you already know what's going to happen, you know the rules, you know everything, well, all right, that's not exciting. That's why people get bored at their
Hmm.
job. It's always the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, well, that's
Hmm.
boring. But chaos, when it's something new every time, a new project, a new situation, a new problem to tackle, okay, yeah, sure, it may get boring that it's always new, but it's never boring. Like it's always something new that you have
Right.
to do. You may get tired of it. Okay, fine, but everyone gets tired of everything. But chaos is exciting.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because as you were speaking, this was my brain went. All right. Why do you think in life we don't talk about positive things? We talk about the negative, right? When people gossip, they don't gossip about positive things. They gossip about the negative things. Why do you think that is?
Oh, because negative and bad emotion and whatnot is actually more impactful than positive. For some odd reason, the humans, we as humans, we dismiss positive things, but we hold on to negative. We always
Right.
have. I don't understand why. I never understood why.
Right.
Um,
Right.
is that you can have a million positive things, a million things to go right, but
Right.
the first time something goes wrong,
Hmm.
that's all it is. Your entire livelihood is oh my god, this is so horrible. Everything's terrible. Well, no. Like, you just had a whole year of positive stuff. One person. Thank you very much, King. So then,
That's my son. My
there you
10-year-old.
go. Ah, good job. So then, so there's people focus on negative because, believe it or not, negative is more exciting. It's more thought provoking. It stirs emotion more. But positive things, it seems, drab. It seems expected, but it should be the total opposite. We should be
Right.
celebrating. We should be talking about the positive stuff. We should be excited about the good things that happen. You know, nothing bad happened. Well, that's an amazing day. You
Right.
know, and anything that bad happens, just yeah, just let it go. Just let it go. If
Right.
it doesn't affect you in the next 5 years, then don't think about it. Don't worry about it, because if you focus on bad things all the time, I always felt you get old real quick.
Yes.
You know,
It's because you're not living life at that point.
yep,
You know what I'm
you're
saying?
because anger and sadness and upsetness, it takes a toll on your body. It really does affect you. You
Mm.
say positive and you say happy and everything like that. Well, guess what? Things aren't that bad. They don't affect you as much.
Right.
You get more energy. But if you're always sad and everything's terrible and whatever, well, your energy has an effect on your body, and
Hmm.
you'll break down faster. You'll get wrinkles. You know you look like you aged quite a bit. That's
Yeah.
why
Right.
you
Right.
gotta
Right.
you gotta let stuff go. You gotta let so many things go. Not
So
everything, but a lot of things.
So speaking about complex things, right? So this next passage I'm about to read is it's kind of complex. I had to read it a couple times to grasp the concept and fully understand it, right?
Right.
But from my research, it says to understand if we live in a simulation, we need to start we need to start by looking at the fact that we already have computers running all kinds of simulations for lower level intelligence or algorithms. For easy visualization, we can imagine these intelligences as any non-person characters, sort of how you were saying before, non-playable Yeah,
Yep.
um,
NPCs.
yeah, yep. As any non-person characters in any video game that we play. But in essence, any algorithm operating on any computing machine would qualify for our thought experiment. We don't need the intelligence to be conscious, and we don't need it to even be complex, because the evidence that we are looking for is experienced by all computer programs, simple or complex, running on all machines, slow or fast. Right. This goes back to what you were talking about the processor, right? So,
Hmm.
like I said, I had to read that a couple of times to understand what it was saying, right? Like, so when you saw a rendering, right? Like you play a video game, so or let's say an RPG.
Yeah,
So say you controlling the character and you're marching forward or you're running forward. Everything looks blurry in the background. Sometimes I don't want to say pixelated because technology is good these days, but it might look like a bunch
it
of
has a
squares or
fog. Yeah,
yeah. But as you get closer, all of a sudden now it gets clearer,
right.
right? So if you apply that to life, right? Like a lot of people, how do we know our shadows are or not, or shadows? It could be symbols, right? Like like back in like Egyptian times, I read something about how they was afraid to leave a certain area because they see these shadows and they thought that was like the gods or satanic beings. But it was somebody, like I said, it was like last week I read an article and it was like, as a one person was rebellious. So you know what? I'm going to venture out. Sort of like when they were talking about Christopher Columbus. Because if you think about it, they said that the world was flat, and so he said, you know what? I'm gonna take a venture. I'm gonna go. And he found out that the world wasn't flat. Same thing back then. They said biblical times, people thought like, no, this is the end all be all. And as he went, they was like, oh, these things I thought were symbols or shadows from other things, other objects that's out there. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I wish
Yeah,
I
but
found that because
as time goes on, you start to learn.
yeah,
Um, if we wound up superstition and whatnot, it gets debunked as knowledge grows.
right,
So if we were to go back in time with the knowledge we have now, we would think everybody is insane. Everybody's crazy. They're all out of their minds.
right,
The same thing if somebody from the future of us came back and they'd be like, "What is wrong with everybody here?" Like everyone's crazy. Um,
right, right, right,
but the cure to superstition is knowledge.
right.
Um, but with the Christopher Columbus thing, I know that I actually didn't. They didn't really believe that the world was flat back then.
You know,
They knew that it was round. It's just Christopher Columbus was attempting to try to find a new passageway, and also I'm pretty sure he discovered the Bahamas. No, he discovered
see,
he landed on a different area.
I was about to say, correct that because we can't discover something that was already there
Yeah, that's right. Everything
in plain
everything
sight.
was already there.
Yeah. So
He found.
I always hated that in school. He discovered it. He didn't discover what was already
Yeah,
there.
no, no,
He
no.
just
It was
happened.
there.
Yeah, he happened to land on it. He that's
He's
when he
visiting.
gained knowledge, right, of there being another place. He didn't discover it. So I'm like, why give this man credit for something that because to give him as much
Well,
credit as they
it
teach in
was,
school,
but
it's
that's
like
the
he
thing. It's
found
a
Bigfoot.
story. It's the
Yeah,
story. It's the superstition. But then once we learn more about the details and we learn actually about the history, the picture gets a little more clear. And then people start to think, wait a minute, why are we praising this guy? Maybe we shouldn't be doing that.
right,
But again, knowledge is the cure for superstition and whatnot.
right.
And
So
who
I'm
knows
gonna
what
get
we'll learn tomorrow? Who knows what we'll learn in the future? We may actually learn that yeah, aliens are actually real. They're here. Who knows?
absolutely. You never get too old to learn things. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I'm gonna get back to the whole video game simulation type of thing, right?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna get back to that. But what are your thoughts on the Matrix?
on the matrix of what we're living in, or the movie.
Let's start off with what we living in and then the movie because
Okay.
because that's a great movie. It makes me want to start from the beginning and because I didn't watch the last one, the newest one. I was supposed to watch it with my girlfriend, but then like she watched the whole thing and I woke up in the morning and she
I
was like,
saw the
"Fall
new
asleep."
one. I did see the new one, and it's all right. It's
Don't
okay.
spoil it. Don't spoil it because I didn't watch it. But let's go. Your
Spoilers
thoughts. Your
that
thoughts on the Matrix, that we
we're
we
living
possibly
in.
living in. Yeah, that we're living
Okay,
in.
so this matrix, if we're in a matrix or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
um, now the idea of the matrix would be that we are actually living in a different plane of existence, meaning the real world. So,
Right.
So if this is a simulation and where all of our consciousnesses are piped into this computer and our bodies are somewhere else, or who knows if they're even bodies? For all we know, it's just exposed brains or clumps of cells, because we may not even look like this. This
Hmm.
could be our perceived image of ourselves, and if that's true, man, I need to work on stuff. So like, um, so if we're in the Matrix, there are definitely some glitches because what we had, what Mandela effects.
Hmm.
I think they're revisions. If we're going to take away, multiverse and whatnot, and we're just going to go with this as a simulation, then okay, then the Mandela effects may actually be revisions that some people didn't get the update. Some people didn't get the programming. Um, and that's something else. The Mandela effects. That's probably another 2 hours of that, going over all those. But but it would be interesting to see if it's even a possibility to hijack the programming. If even if it's capable or a possibility that uh, a character is actually capable of modifying the programming, or even if that's possible at all.
Right. I
Because that'd
got
be
you.
cool.
Yeah.
Like Neo in the Matrix, he was capable of modifying the programming.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So now I asked you your thoughts on the Matrix, right? So now let's just deepen our understanding of what it means to be living in the Matrix, right? So this is what I come up with, right? So it says
Mhm.
living in the Matrix, right? It's a term that has multiple meanings, including a reference to the Matrix movie, right? The whole franchise.
Right.
Um, and a broader concept about the systems that shape our lives, right? Um, it's crazy. We keep talking. The more I say Matrix, the more I want to go back and watch them all. Especially, wait, my thing is, being that I didn't watch the last one, it makes me want to start all over again, just so I can build up to that last one, which I think I'm gonna do. But anyways, back to on topic, right? In the Matrix series, humans are enslaved by robots and forced to power the world by being hooked up to computer simulations of life on Earth. The idea that reality is an illusion and we live in a simulation has been popularized by many movies, right? Which we spoke about already.
Right.
In a broader sense, living in a matrix can refer to the systems and structures that shapes our lives, such as societal norms, cultural expectations, educational institutions, and corporate structures. These systems can make it difficult to break free and live life on our own terms. Right? Um, your thoughts?
So, based upon that, is it's supposed to be basically the programs are like the police. They won't allow you to they won't allow you to actually um, go and do whatever you want. They won't allow you to
Right.
fly because they say, "Oh well, there's gravity, so you can't fly.
Right.
You can't float around."
Right.
Um, so, but if you were able to if you were able to override those programs, then sure, yeah, why not? You could fly.
Right. And that's why I took a pause right there because that's what I was thinking about, right? Because when you read the definitions and right, it
Hmm.
often says being programmed, right? But like, aren't we all programmed? Because there's laws set in place, right? So either we follow laws or we follow what we're programmed to believe is the law, and if we break that, then we go to prison or jail, which is what? It's an institution. And once
Right?
you once you belong to an institution, guess what? You're programmed. They tell you when to wake up, when to go to sleep, when to eat, when you can exercise, when you can shower.
Yep.
So that's being programmed. So when we talk about assimilation, when we talk about the matrix, we talk about being programmed. You see how all this really just like ties into each other. So a lot of people, when I told them I was going to blend a whole bunch of conversations together, and they was like, I don't know how you're going to do it. It ain't going to make sense. It does make sense
Yeah,
because life to me is really a simulation.
yeah, it's all linked up. It's everything is one rule after another, and
Hmm.
the laws of physics. Okay, well, if you were able to break the laws of physics, then you broke the matrix. You know,
Right. So like, in the Matrix, when they was hooked up, they had the thing in their head, and
yeah,
they appeared to be asleep. They had the eyes closed, the thing was in there. So we sleep too. So how we know that's not what's happening? And we might not have nothing physically plugged up to our heads, right? But when we talk about dreams earlier, we have dreams when
yep.
we lay down, and we go to sleep. Hey man, I think life is really in a simulated world.
It's either that or yeah, the dreams are the real world. There's a possibility that the reason why we can't fall asleep is because the server is full, and then we
Mhm.
have to wait for somebody to get off the server for us to join in. You know,
Right. See,
that's a possibility. Weird
something
possibility, but funny.
something for people to think about. It's crazy. A lot of people they see. I think a lot of people they won't entertain certain thoughts or abilities or possibilities because they don't want to be looked at as being weird or being different. But like if
Yeah,
it
be
makes
weird.
sense,
It's
why?
fun.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say I could be weird at times. My kids tell me I'm weird sometimes, but I do. It's all fun. It's all it's all love. But like,
See the way I feel, okay, with being weird, and I've said this 100 times. And funny, my girlfriend, she's like, "Why do you say the things you say? Why do you act a certain way when you're out in public?" I was like, "Well,
mhm,
let's just do it this way. Is that I'm just I'm gonna act however I want,
mhm,
and there's no rules to that and everything. But if a person if a person's like, oh well, that person's crazy, they're gonna get away from me. Well, then if they meet me again in the future, they're gonna be like, hey, weren't you that guy? Weren't you that
yeah,
guy that did this? And I was like, yeah, that was totally me.
yeah,
Just be weird, because then it's
yeah,
interesting. You'll be remembered, and
yeah.
who knows? You could talk about it the next time.
That's your way of standing out from everybody else. That's how you
Yeah,
differentiate yourself from everybody else. And my older brother, he be on his podcast. He started saying a lot lately that he wanted to be contagious in life, right? Basically, he wanted to be remembered. He want
yeah,
he wanted to be where when you walk away from him or he walk away from you, you wake up in the morning or an hour go by and you be like, dang, that guy was something else. He different. If your thoughts is on him, then he did something right. So he said he want to be contagious in that aspect. So the same thing you were saying, be yourself. I tell my girlfriend all the time. That's the one thing about white people. White people are so carefree. I might have mentioned this to you before, right?
yeah.
Y'all don't have a care in the world. But so you
I
guys
mean, we do,
live.
but we
You
hide
got listen.
it.
You got no. I don't. No, y'all don't hide it. And that listen. A lot of people, black people, secretly, and then a lot of I might turn heads with this, but it's the truth. A lot of people, right? They deep down inside they envious of white people because you guys live life to the fullest, right? Because when you sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not going to be like this," or "I'm not going to be like that," or "I'm not going to do this because it's I don't want," that's a sign of weakness, or it's going to make me look weird. That's not living life. And when you're not living life, now you have internal conflict. And when you
Yep.
have internal conflict, it's impossible to live life to the fullest. You understand what I'm saying? So that's
Yep.
one thing I tell my girlfriend, and it's funny because she poked fun at me sometimes because like we go out, I can't dance, and I know I can't dance. You won't see unless I'm intoxicated. You won't see me dance. But white people don't care about that. It could be a fast song, slow song. They got the same dance to every song. They're having fun. They're
Screw
enjoying
that. I'm gonna
themselves.
dance like nobody watching.
You see what I'm saying? See, but the black culture, we won't know it. If you can't dance, you're like, I ain't doing that. You crazy. Me, when I was younger, I need to be intoxicated. I need to sip on something before I jump on that dance floor. That's just me. But it's we talk about white people have stigmas and stuff on black people, right? But like we do the same with each other. We sit
Yeah,
there
but
having our
that goes
minds and
back
we
to
teach
what
our
I
kids.
said before. Is just let it go. Just let it
Yeah,
go. Because you
Yeah.
know what,
So
you're gonna sit down, you're gonna be like, all right, well, this isn't fun. I'm not having fun because I can't go
right,
do something. Let it go. Let it go.
and
Just
it's
go
funny.
out and kick things. Whatever.
It's funny. It's funny because my brother's podcast episode yesterday, the topic was how do you live life to the fullest, right? And like I know a lot of black people, we just know. I know I don't live life to the fullest because this is the thing. When I say when I exhibit those traits of white people, when I'm carefree, you know what I do that when I'm home with my kids, my girlfriend. I don't care. That's when I dance my ass off. And even my girlfriend, this was crazy. My girlfriend, she white. She would look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what the fuck is happening? But this is me being carefree like white people are. You know what I'm saying? And my kids be like, Dad, please don't ever do that again. I'm like, what?
Like you can do
What?
that in public, you'd be like, no, oh, no, 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 no.
N- Yeah, I would never. My kids be like, oh, Dad, remember you did this? I'm like, son, well, it wasn't me. Who you? Not me. I would never. Right. So that's what I'm saying. So that's why when I say I don't live life to the fullest, I don't because living life to the fullest is being who I am, no matter who's around, no matter where I'm at, but I'm just not there in my life. Maybe
Yeah.
when I'm old as dirt and I fuck it. Maybe it's gonna take for that. But right now, I still like to look at myself as I'm young and I'm like, I can't, I got a reputation. I don't want people to be like,
No, ain't nobody got a reputation. You can be who you are. No, that's something you put on yourself.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a mental thing. It's just how I was raised, and it's what I was brought up around. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
just
I
basically
just
you. It's like your anxiety. Anxiety is you gaslighting yourself. You
yeah.
just gotta stop doing that. Just be
It's
you.
funny.
Just go.
Look, it's funny you use that word gaslight because they were using all the young kids that use that in my job, and I just found out what that was 2 weeks ago. I was like, why do you keep talking like that? What does gaslight mean? And they was like, are you fucking kidding me? How old are you? And then that makes me mad. I'm like, what? I'm 29. I'm about to be 30. Why? Well, you are not. You look like you 50, bro. I swear to
I'm not
people
older
knew
than
me.
you, and I have the words.
It'd be people, it'd be like their second name, like, yo, ain't you like 48? I'm like, 48? No, I ain't even touch 40. You crazy. That shit make me mad. To the point where I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I come home or I go to the bathroom at work and I look in the mirror and I just be like this. Damn, do I look that old? Then I'm like, hell no.
Do
To
you
me,
know why? Do you know why? Because you don't let it
why?
shit go. You don't let it go. You don't just let it go. You don't go out there and dance like nobody's watching. That's why.
So you saying live life more freely and then I will look younger? I believe it
Yeah,
though,
you
because
will.
it's look, see these bags, but I ain't had these bags before. I be
Yeah,
stressing.
uh-huh. That's
Stress will
right.
kill you, man. So I have to figure it out. I do know that. I have to figure it out, man.
Because look at me. I'm 40. Come on. I'm way older than
You still
you.
yeah, you're not way old to stop it. But I ain't gonna get my age on here. Um yeah, I mean you hey, no lie. They always say black don't crack, but you still like a baby, bro.
Uh,
You do. You look the same way you did 10 years ago.
yeah,
I
when
was
I
like, what
first
the
met
fuck?
you, I know.
I
See,
know.
what I
Hey,
tell people, is that I found the cheat code. I'm immortal.
yeah.
Just don't tell anybody.
She said we don't judge. Talk about white people, we don't judge. I mean,
Well, some of
yeah,
us.
yeah. I understand what you're saying. Like, we don't judge as far as I think she's saying, like, we don't judge as far as when you want to be who you are. Like, you just want to be
Yeah,
carefree
you
and live.
want to be carefree, fine, do
Yeah,
it, whatever. We'll
yeah. And
secretly judge. We ain't gonna judge your face. No, no, no. You be you.
yeah, that's crazy, man.
You best bet we're going home. We're laying in bed and be like, did you see what this motherfucker did?
Yeah, it was crazy because, like, even with my family, on my mom's side, not my dad's side. My dad's side
Yeah.
was they well, not was they highly religious, and they're just like they so like militant. And I can't live my life like that either. On my mom's
No.
side, we outgoing. We don't give a fuck. The way we talk to each other, you be like, y'all show your family? Like, it's crazy. That's disrespectful. Like, nah, that's my brother. Or nah. Like the way I talk to my mom, the way my mom talked to me, we might be joking, but from the outside looking in, people look at me like, oh, you a piece of shit. Why you talk to your mom like that? But it's all fun and games. It's just what my mom allowed when I was young, and as I
Yeah.
got older, it's just the relationship we have. It's awkward. It's the word I want. It's unorthodox. The relationship I have with my mom, right?
Yeah, but that's
Um,
okay. That's everyone has their own,
so
you know.
it's crazy. So we was talking about living free, carefree and stuff. Like me and my brothers, my mom and stuff. We amongst each other, we we act a certain way, but we don't go out there in the free world acting like that. Now, my mom do, and I look at her like, "My stop." And people are like, "Oh, don't let her be her." I'm like, "No, hell no." It's like little quirks, little things that like. And I'm like, I don't want people to be like, "That's what you do." Fuck no, fuck no.
See, that's where I say my theory is that going to affect you in 5 years? If the answer is no, let it go. Like,
Yeah.
if all right, if your mama said this, okay, well, you're like, oh no, don't say that. Well, is it going to affect you in 5 years? No. Well, then whatever, let her do it. But if she's
Hey,
if she's going to buy a timeshare, okay, that might affect you in 5 years. You okay?
no,
Step in.
that's what I'm saying. I understand it, and I tell myself all the time I'm gonna do better. But like in the moment, I'm like, yeah, I can't tolerate it. Like my mom, like she go through whatever she go through mentally, psychologically, whatever. And she's single at her age, and me and my brothers, we help her out when we can, but it's not as consistent as she might like it to be. So she feels alone, right? So when she get around us or around people in general, she just like to be carefree. She just enjoy the moment. She enjoys the company. But for me, in the moment, I don't see it like that. I look at it like you're trying to embarrass me. Relax,
So
right?
what you're
And that's
saying is that her character, her player from outside of the Matrix is just like, fuck it, I'm doing whatever I want.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's like you playing Grand Theft Auto, and you driving down the road, you just see somebody randomly doing the hokey pokey. Well, no,
Yep,
man,
just dancing
you're on
around.
a mission. You're on a mission where you try to get revenge. You about to do a drive by on somebody. You about to shoot up some houses or something, and you see somebody randomly doing the hokey pokey. You be like, "What the fuck?" Like you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like so, it's weird, but it's something I'm trying to work on that, man. I am,
yeah,
but now
yeah,
it's back to speak about the Matrix, man. So it says Matrix theory is a philosophical framework that suggests that the world is like a computer program
yeah.
with a set of rules and algorithms that determine how things work. Some people believe that understanding these rules can lead to success in life, which I also thought was interesting, right?
Mhm.
If you follow the Matrix and the movies, and people, a lot of people do feel like if you follow the rules of the Matrix,
Right.
it'll make you stronger in life, right? Now, as I sat and I pondered on that earlier, I was like, well, I guess that's why people read the was it the 48 Laws of Power? Is that what it is? 48, right? 48 Laws
Something
of
like
Power.
that. Yeah.
Now, I always wanted to read that book. I still haven't read it from the beginning to end, but the moment I first laid hands on that book, I was in Barnes and Noble, and I just opened it up, and I read like 15 pages, and I'm like, well, why this book so popular? Like, if you read the first 15 pages, you be like, this is what I do in everyday life already.
Yep.
But some people look at it the same way that you would a Bible. Like, if you stick to these things every day, and you follow these things every day. So a lot of people told me that it's not so much as just reading it; it's about
Yeah.
following it. You know what I'm
And
saying? So
understanding it and living it.
right. So as I was pondering earlier, I'm like, all right. So when they say that some people feel like if you follow the rules of the Matrix, you'll be more successful in life. I get it. It's sort of like reading that book, and that's where my mind went. Right.
Yeah.
Um. So now I want to jump into this. Right. Since we talk about whether or not we live in a Matrix and do we live in a simulated universe.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about God's creation again. Let's see. That's what I told you earlier. I'm not sure if I'm gonna bring up God again, but here I am again.
I'm sure it won't be the last.
So, in the Bible, they say God created the heavens, the earth, the people, and everything. They say God is so godly that He already knows everything that's going to happen in life. So, two things I want to say is, so if God created the heavens, the earth, the world, everything, He already knows what's going to happen in life from beginning to end. Is that not a simulation?
Yeah, I mean,
He got the
well, a
controller.
simulation. Well, a simulation is supposed to be not knowing the end. That's why you run the
No,
simulation. Because if you know
oh
the
no,
end, then what's the point of running the simulation?
oh no, 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 no. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. Because in video games, the player, meaning us that's playing the video game, we don't know the end until we play it. But the creator knows what's going to happen from beginning to end. So if God is the creator of life and
But no, 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 no,
humanity,
no, 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 no. You're talking about if life is a video game versus life is a simulation. See, a simulation isn't a video game. A video game is
but a
plotted
video
out.
game, but a video game is a simulation. So if God already knows what's going to happen, is life not plotted out? That's why I'm connecting the
No,
two.
simulations aren't plotted out. Simulations are unknowing. Video games are plotted. Video games have a script. Video games have an
Yeah.
end. They have a whole a series. They have everything lined in a thing. You are just supposed to follow the steps to get to the end. But
So
a
you don't think a simulation
simulation,
is plotted? Uh
no, a
oh, what's
simulation
this?
can't be plotted. Uh,
What's that? Sandbox? What's
a
that?
sandbox. So a sandbox is basically an open world where you can do anything. There are rules that the world follows, and you can do anything you want in the within those rules.
So
That's
is
what a
that is
sandbox
hold
is.
on, okay, so I'm glad you said that. So is that not what life is? There's rules. You can do
Sure.
whatever you want. That's why they say free will. So is that not the same thing?
So
Sandbox a simulation.
sandbox is not a simulation. It's a game.
It's not.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
sandbox
Well,
is a game. It's like
games
Minecraft.
are
Okay,
simulations.
so it's like
That's
Minecraft. You
just
can do anything. You can build anything. You can be anywhere. You can make all of it. But you have to follow the rules that are in it within the game, and the game is unlimited. You could just go forever and ever and ever. Um,
right.
you can build anything. You can dig as far. You can do many, many millions of things. That's a sandbox. You can do anything, but there are still rules, and there's no technical end.
Got
I
you.
mean, Minecraft, there's a technical sort of end. Yes,
Got
the
you.
sandbox, the
So
sandbox can be layered onto a
I got
simulation, but a
I got you.
simulation is supposed to be open ended. It's supposed to be um, basically it gives certain rules and then it just lets everything just go and do whatever it wants, and there you don't know the end. You run a simulation to find out what the end will be or find out the
Mm,
likelihood of the end. Have you ever
okay.
heard when they're doing weather, when they're like, oh,
Yeah.
we have this hurricane, and all of the simulations say that the hurricane's going to track this way. Well, that's because they don't know where it's going to actually go. They can simulate where a bunch of different things, and then they can get a consensus on where it's going to wind up being.
Right.
So a
You
video
see,
game is plotted.
John says a sandbox
So
can
it's
be
layered on simulation.
layered on a simulation,
Yeah.
and then said laws of nature are the limits.
Right. Those are the rules. Those are the limitations and the rules that we have within
Mm,
the simulation. Now, if we are capable of rewriting them or
right.
finding out the flaw in them, then we could rewrite anything. We could do anything. But a lot of people, I mean, that's what scientists try to do. They try to find the cracks in the rules. Um, Not totally sure if anybody's actually found a loophole or an actual broken rule. They just kind of incorporate it into their new law, their new rule, what the rule is supposed to be.
But you must know him.
Yes.
Okay.
My girlfriend's brother. Yeah.
Okay. I got you. So
Yeah.
yeah. So all right. So the Bible teaches that God knows everything that will happen through the concept of, if I'm saying this word right, omniscience, which means all knowing, and is repeatedly expressed throughout Scripture. Verses like Isaiah
So
chapter 46, verse 10.
omniscience.
Okay.
Sorry.
Verses like Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10, where it says, declaring the end from the beginning, and Psalms chapter 139, verse 16, stating, your eyes saw my uniform body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be, are examples of this idea, right? So this goes back to what I was saying, like what God already knows what's going to happen. So I don't know if I misinterpret the definition of assimilation or if it was you. I don't know. But I just thought assimilation ties into the concept of like a computer program that was created by somebody, right? Like it's like a creation. That's what I thought like assimilation was, like a video game or like let's say a movie.
See, simulation and a video game are different things.
Mm,
So you can have a video game that is like a simulation, but an actual simulation is an unknowing end result.
okay, I got you. I got you. So like I said, I that's how I thought the word meant, right? Um, so it's funny. I'm still talking about the Bible. It's crazy.
You
Anyways,
just yes.
the Bible portrays God as not being surprised by any events, as he already knows the outcome, right? As we
Right.
already spoke about. So it says God's knowledge extends beyond just major events, but also includes the details of individual lives, right? So to me, that's why I was saying, the that's why I was thinking like more so like simulated. We live in a matrix. It's simulated, right? That's where my mind was going, right? So,
But if that's true, if that's true, if God knows everything that's going to happen and everything
yeah,
is already preordained and everything has already happened, and he can't be surprised, which means that there are no surprises, nothing can be changed, nothing can be, rewritten. So
mhm.
then the question is, do we actually have free will?
That's a great question. I
Because
was just about to ask that.
if we do not have free will and it's preordained and it's supposed to happen like fate, um,
Hmm.
if fate is a thing, then what the hell's the point? If everything's already written, are we just supposed to figure it out as it go along? And here's the other thing: is if we're told constantly, "Oh, you have free will. You have free will. You can make all these choices. You can do everything." Well, but then when something goes wrong or
Hmm.
something doesn't go our way, everyone always says, "Well, that was God's will." Like, well, what the why? Why? I thought I had free will.
I'm glad you said that because that's something I'm gonna bring up on maybe tomorrow. Matter of fact, tomorrow's podcast episode. I'm just gonna bring it up because I've often talked about whether or not we have free will. If God already knows what's going to happen from beginning to end, we don't truly have free will,
No.
right? Because we're not in control. If he's the author of the book already, right? If he's the illustrator of this painting over here, he illustrated it already. He authored
Yeah.
that already. We do not have free will. It's
Yeah.
our story, our life story is already written. Right? Now, I don't know if you can remember what you just said. It was something on the back end of what you said that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
You was talking about free will. No. It was something that you said. I forgot what you said. It was something on the back end, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good point."
Which part about the that if everything that if everything's going good and we have free will, but then as soon as something goes bad,
Oh,
then
yeah,
why
there we
is it
go.
go?
God's will. You said God's will. So he
Yeah.
said we have free will. Well, when things go bad, they said it's God's will. So is it free will or God's will? If it's God's will, that's not free. It's
All
not
right.
free.
All right.
This is something that he orchestrated. It's something that he authored. So therefore, to us humans, it's not free will.
Yep.
This is God's will. That's why
See,
people say God willing.
these are the certain things that I would have this these would be some of the conversations I would have with your brother or your uncle or whatnot. It'd be like, okay, well then if God is this, and then of course the silly question of, is it possible for God to create something so heavy that he himself cannot lift? that's
Mm,
that's
that's
that's a contradicting. Well, would they be able to answer that? Well, probably not. I don't know.
no.
But
And it's
everyone
funny you
thinks of it
said
as
that.
a joke.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's funny you said it because my older brother, he specifically said, I want him on a podcast. Whether I join yours or he jump on mine. He specifically said, I want Danny. I said, oh
that'd
man,
be
this my
great, and I'm all about it.
nah. But he want to talk religion though. So I don't know if you're ready for that, but that's what he want. He specifically said, brother, I need that favor. I said, listen, he'd be glad to do it. I don't know if you're gonna like what he got to say, but
Yeah, look,
hey.
just like I brought, some he just posted on the chat is that Um, does God have a belly button? Okay, well, that was my question I had before. Did Adam and Eve have belly buttons? They were supposed to be the first, but yet
Right.
everyone constantly they always see it as a joke. They're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're being silly, you're trolling." I'm like, "No." Everyone dismisses it as if it's a joke and it's trolling and whatnot. No, answer
Right.
me legitimately, and then nobody can answer me. No one ever answers. They're like,
Hmm.
oh well, blah blah blah. They give some BS answer of, oh well, man painted it. Okay, well,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
always something.
Like like I said, we was just talking about the whole free will thing. It says, while God knows the future, the Bible also emphasizes human free will, which can be complex and theologically a theological discussion, right? The idea that we are living in a simulation is a hypothesis called a simulation theory, which proposes that our reality is a computer simulated created by a higher being, right? Higher being. We talk about God by a higher being. What is a higher being? It's
It's
to me
either
that's you
it
talk about
could be
God.
an alien or it could be
Yeah,
God. It could be the
yeah, yeah, yeah. Back to the alien thing. Yeah, it could be alien, it could be God. Yeah.
yeah.
It's something that's a higher being, right? And which I think if aliens are alive, I think they would be of the higher being. I do, right?
For all we know, it could be a binary universe. It could
Hmm.
be a conscious universe that is actually running a simulation of us.
Right, right. So the theory suggests that everything we know and experience is a model of something else, and that we are characters in a high fidelity video game. And that's back to what I was saying about a video game.
Yeah,
When I was talking about simulation, I was tying it to video game, but you said the two are different.
yeah.
I'm saying um, the simulation hypothesis has been debated by philosophers, scientists, technologists, and comedians. Some say that that the idea is destabilizing for society, and that people may feel confused or anxious if they learn that their world isn't authentic. However, others say that the simulation theory doesn't mean life is meaningless, and that we could still have human experiences of love, joy, and relationships. If we are in a simulation, as it appears, then space is an abstract property written in code.
Mhm.
Now it's funny when I say abstract property written in code because in the first segment we was talking about the all the stars and the galaxies and all that stuff, right? Like so, it all this really just ties in together, and I love it. I love it. Um, Now let me ask you this: where do you think deja vu comes from? Hmm.
Glitches. No, it's
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
glitches. So, all right. So, I mean, this my belief, my personal belief, and then maybe other people too. I think it's a do-over. I think it's a do-over, a
Do
personal
over what?
do-over. So, the deja vu is a do-over of you made a decision or you did something or you said something that led to your ultimate demise, that basically it wound up ending you or
Hmm.
ending something huge, and that's your do-over. That's your quick save. Um, and you're just experiencing it again. And then once you lose your deja vu, because you can experience deja vu, you remember saying the same thing or being in the same place, but then all of a sudden you lose the deja vu. I think at that moment, the moment you lose your deja vu is the moment you made a change, the moment you did something different from the last time you did it.
Mm. So, do you think you ever experienced deja vu?
All the time, lots of times,
I mean,
lots of
see, and
times.
it's crazy. It's crazy because they say it's been scientifically proven that deja vu is a myth. It's not a thing. But I'm gonna call bullshit. You know what? Sometimes I might be walking down the street. I swear to God, and I'm like, yo, I feel like I've seen this. And then I'm like, if such and such happened, now I've definitely seen this. And not all the time, but sometimes when I say it out loud, maybe 5 minutes later, it happens. I'm like, yo, deja vu is a real thing. Or dreams. I might have. Oh shit. Be quiet. Here
Oh
goes my
boy,
children. Okay.
we got
Okay.
we got the kid. Oh,
Okay.
it's okay. Give him love.
Yeah. Wait, wait.
Hello,
Okay. Okay.
hi. I don't know what
You
that
couldn't
is.
hear him, but he said hello. You hear me, Jay?
Yeah.
You must be. No, I know. I'm talking. I got my headphones in.
See, this is we're
Uh,
definitely live.
Hey, hey, go ahead. Take that back. Close. Shh. Don't
Ooh.
drop it. Take that back, please. Um, dang, he just knocked me off my thinking process for a minute.
Deja vu.
Deja vu. So even with dreams, sometimes I have the same dream and the same sequences happen. It might be one thing that's different from that whole dream, but that's to me that's a form of deja vu.
Yeah.
I've seen it before, right? Pour me
It's
another
called
drink. Quick.
precognition.
Yeah.
That's actually
So
precognition. So I've had that too. Now I've had other times where I've experienced it. I mean, there may be some people watching now who have experienced it with me. So yeah, because I have some friends who are watching. Hopefully they're watching. If not, then I'll get them later. But anyway, so
take them out.
so then where I've had times where I reacted. I reacted to my deja vu, and sometimes where I said it out loud. I'm like, "Oh my god, deja vu!" And then I said, "Well, in my deja vu, as it's happening, I'll describe it." And then all of a sudden, as I'm describing it, it happens, and everyone just looks at me
Mhm.
like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Yeah." And then it looks like you're telling the future, but
Right, right.
as soon as it stops, well then you don't know anything any further than that after that.
So, even in conversations, sometimes I'll be having conversations, or I hear somebody else having conversations, and I'm like, I heard this conversation before. I swear, it's all right. So God created the world, right, in life as we know it. He already knows what's going to happen from beginning to end, right? But like, surely, even though he might be godly or whatever, surely he don't remember every moment of every day for trillions of years. So like, as it's
He's
happening.
supposed to,
Oh well, maybe, but I'm looking at it like, how do we know he don't be like, damn?
because he omnipotent and omnipresent. He should know everything at all times and be everywhere.
But like, all right, so my mom went to. He might have created it, but he don't remember everything from billions of years. So like, as it's happening, how do we know he don't be sitting back like, yo, I thought about this before, not knowing that like, oh, I created the world, I created the earth, I created everything. I know what's gonna happen, but like, he be like, dang, I feel like I created this, right? He
He
just
was
thought
like,
thought
didn't
of
it?
this.
Didn't this
Yeah,
happen already?
yeah, so I think God would be going through deja vu on the regular. That's probably what God probably an alien and going through all this deja vu. Like this shit's too crazy. I'm leaving. As
He's,
he's literally,
he's
I'm
like he's
fucking
like he's
leaving.
like oh well, this is a we're you know what we're gonna push do over.
Yeah, yeah. You guys can have this shit. I'm out. And then he might come back from that slumber or come back from that vacation and be like, let me
You'll be
try
like,
this again. And be like,
what happened here?
yeah, like deja vu. But so speaking about deja vu, right? By definition, it is a feeling that you've already experienced something before, even though they say it's scientifically proven. I don't believe it, that it's not possible. Again, when I say I don't believe in science to the fullest, I don't, because how do you say it's not possible to have deja vu? But people every day
Yeah,
be like, yo, I had deja
how is
vu.
that something they can test for? You know,
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. I don't get it. But these people, these scientists, they get paid millions. It's crazy. They don't do nothing else but play with formulas and mathematical equations, and they get paid. It's crazy. Um, so when you said glitch, that's why I laughed because for me, deja vu sounds like a glitch in a simulation, right? You seen the movie The Matrix.
yeah,
Um, it's a very good movie and it's very powerful. And I think the knowledge and the power and the concepts that come in that movie, I think it goes over a lot of people's heads, right? Because a lot of
yeah,
people they all right, so I work in the restaurant industry, and we all often say that the guests and the customers, they buy with their eyes, right? So I think same thing, the same concept is with movies. They buy or they view things for what they could visually see and
right.
concept and meanings. So a lot of people can't handle complexity, complex movies. I love those movies. I can't think off the top of my head. It's one that Leonardo DiCaprio played in. I forgot the name of it.
Oh no,
It was so. mind boggling.
It's a mind bender where he potentially is dead or something like that, and he's
Yeah,
investigating something on an
yeah,
island. Or
yes,
yeah.
yes, 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 yes. Excellent movie. One of my favorites. There you go. Inception.
No, Inception's different. Inception
Oh no, that's one of them.
is
No, that's one of them.
the dream
Inception's
one,
one of them.
or
Yeah, no,
Tenant. Tenant, where they wind up they're doing things backwards. It's a mind bending thing. Like
but
that, you can
Inception.
reverse time.
Look, Inception was one of the ones. It was two that I was thinking
It
about,
was a
but
good one.
Inception was one of them.
Yeah.
Inception was one, and the one you was just talking about was the other one. I can't think of that. But it's so complex. That's what makes it's so surreal. It's so great, and those are the type of movies that I love. I love them, and the average person, they don't understand it. They might be like, that movie is trash, and they say it's trash because they don't understand it. But
Yeah,
once
well,
you break
they
it
don't want
down,
to. They don't want to know the deep. They're about as deep as a puddle. You know.
yeah. Um, so let's see. How would you define consciousness?
See, that's hard. I mean, even scholars can't even define it. Nobody's ever to be
Mm,
able to define it. I mean, I can have my own personal feeling on what it could be, what it could possibly be. Um, I mean, consciousness is the knowing that you are you, and that
mm.
you are unique and special, and that uh, I feel as though consciousness is
Maybe I'm using the wrong word. I'm thinking like you're conscious. You know how they say people have a conscience? Like how would you define a
well, your
conscience?
conscience. Well, your conscience is is that little voice in the back of your head saying, "No, no, no, don't do that." You know.
So where do you think that comes from? So like I said, maybe I said the wrong word. Where do you think a conscience comes from?
Oh, a conscience.
Yes.
Oh, it's something you're brought up into. So there are some chemical things in people's brains where it's actually you have a deficiency, which then some people don't actually have a conscience. Though
Mm,
a lot of serial murderers and whatnot, they don't have that little voice in the back of their head that says, maybe you shouldn't stab this person 60 times, or maybe you shouldn't cut this person's face off and wear it. You know,
right.
they don't have that. But I think a conscience is majorly learned through upbringing, through your childhood, through being punished, being told don't do that or don't do this or you should do this.
Right.
It's grown, and then there are some people who just never got that ability. There's something wrong in their brain, or there's something chemically off where it just never grew. It
Right.
never took hold, and you know, do we pity those people, or are those people just broken and that they should just be cast away?
Mm.
That's
So 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 I look at that as a little different. Like, I often say I'm not religious, but I do podcast episodes on Fridays speaking about religion because I do want to broaden my understanding of the Bible.
yeah.
So it's so this is why it's so weird for me to say this. Like, for me, a conscience, like, when people say they saw God, which I think is lunacy, right? Or they heard God, or God spoke to me. I think the human conscience is God's way of speaking, or a higher being speaking. That's what I think, right? Because if, say, for instance, you want to do something, right? You say you really want to do it, but he was like, you start doubting yourself, like, nah, I probably shouldn't. I think that's like the voice of that higher power, or as some people say, God. I think that's the voice of God speaking to you. Like, listen, I know you want to do it, but like, it's
But
not
that could be
advisable.
your subconscious. That you
Well,
have your conscious as your subconscious, because your subconscious could be your subconscious may not actually be, as I said before, in this realm. Maybe your subconscious is in the same realm that God is in.
mm-hmm.
And who knows? It may actually be another being telling your subconscious, be like, hey, yo, so you shouldn't do that. So your subconscious is like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm going to tell my conscious self. And then your subconscious kind of whispers to you as you're like, hey, so I don't think you should do this. And then
Right.
as long as your conscious self listens, then maybe it works. Well, your
Right.
subconscious doesn't always have to be right.
Right. Well, it's crazy. Like, Hindus, they believe in multiple gods, right? But see, it's a little different. So like Hindus believe it's a god for every existing thing in life, right? So god of wind, god of fire, god of et cetera, et cetera. Like, so it's crazy because when you say conscious versus subconscious, right? Like they say God said, or the Bible says that we are all made in his image. If he's God, he's godly, and we made in his image, then we're all gods, right? Now we all know that everything in life is levels to everything in life, right? You got you smart, I'm smart, this person's smart, but it's different levels, it's different degrees. You can be smarter in this aspect, I may be smart in this aspect. So like, if God is God as we know it, or as we're taught, and we're made after his image, then we are also gods. We might not be on to the magnitude as the God that they speak of in the Bible, but we are gods if we made in his image. Because,
You
and let me
mean
tell
you
you
mean
something.
he's uppercase God and we are lowercase God?
Yeah. So, yeah, so I'm gonna start telling people I'm a god. And I guarantee you, people that's into to religion and into the faith, they're gonna look at me like it's blasphemy. But like,
Oh,
so
they absolutely will.
if I take this phone and I sit there, what's it called when they use not cloning, well they basically cloning, but like the machines that they
3D print.
yeah 3D print, and I 3D print this phone. That's making it in the image of this phone. It looks like the phone. It works like this phone. So if we are in the image of God, we move like God, we talk like God, or whatever, then we're gods. So we might as well call each other gods. I'm like, hey God,
But
like the
that's the
five
fun
percenters.
part. The question on that is that we can't possibly be in the image of God. We can't possibly, because I've seen some ugly motherfuckers. So I'm just so, but
You ter-
aside from that, aside from that, God doesn't have a voice. God speaks through people. So how could we be in the image of God if God doesn't actually speak? Because as far as I know, if God spoke, we would all just explode. Um, if we were to watch the movie Dogma, God can't speak directly to people because they would die because they can't hear the word of God. So God has to speak through people. So if God has to speak through people, then how could he? Then he doesn't have a voice. If we have voices, then who's to say that we aren't better than him?
Mm.
You
I'm
know,
not gonna touch that one because
we that's one. Wait, that's
you
one
you
for
want you
the
want lightning to strike.
that one's for the Friday episode.
You're terrible, terrible. Look, so back to what we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah,
Says all computing hardware leaves an artifact of its existence within the world of the simulation it is running. Uh, this article is the processor speed, and you mentioned that early on, like very early on.
hmm
Um, if for a moment we imagine that we are a software program running on a computing machine, right? The
yeah.
only the only and inevitable artifact of that hardware supporting us within our world will be the processing speed. All other laws are experienced. I mean, all other laws we experience will be the laws of the assimilation or the software we are a part of. If we were a sim or a Grand Theft Auto character, these will be the laws of the game. But anything we do will also be considered by the processor speed, no matter what the laws of the game was. No matter how complete the simulation is, the processor speed would intervene in the operations of the simulation.
Well, that's
Now,
pretty much the processor speed is the speed of light.
yes,
See, you know that nothing can go faster than the speed of light
hmm
because it faster than the speed of light would destabilize atoms and molecules and everything. All matter just disintegrates when you get past the speed of light. Supposedly, in theory. So our speed, our limitation of speed is the speed of light. So that's the speed of the processor.
right, all right. So now, in speaking about intervening, right? Doesn't God intervene when He places obstacles in our everyday lives?
Oh, like if we were Sims and all of a sudden, God drops a road barrier in front of us, and then we have to figure out how to get through or go around to get to work.
Right, because that's what I told you early on. I feel like we do live in a simulated world because we're faced with obstacles every day. Like role playing games, as we talked about it. RPGs. It's different outcomes to different paths you take in that game, right? So like, we might be like, well, this is what I should do. I shouldn't do this, but listen, I don't have the means. I don't have the money, the finances to take this road, so I'm gonna take this road. And guess what? You take the wrong road, or what we're taught to be the wrong road, and safe as you say, I'm just gonna rob this guy right quick, man. I just see money in his pocket. And before we even get to that guy, we might get hit by a car,
Yep.
right? And we might be paralyzed or something like that. So that's what I mean. That's God intervening in our lives, putting obstacles in our lives. And that's what, when we talk about simulation, hey, video games, if life was a video game for God or an alien,
That could be a player. That could be a player. He'd be like, you know what I'm gonna see, just like in The Sims,
yeah,
everybody's done this. Everybody's done it where they make a whole house and they have people in there and they're like, you know what? The one person winds up going to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, what's gonna happen if I take the door away? And then you trap
yep.
that person in there, and then that person has to figure it out. All right, well, so if you're associating God with that, then God's a jerk. He's a dickhead. And
Well, I most certainly am because, like I said, I feel like that's what happens in everyday life. Different paths we take, these obstacles, all the adversity in our lives. This is guys throwing a monkey wrench in there, like, hey, you don't want to listen to my way? Take this,
yeah,
right?
I'm gonna get you.
And it's funny, like earlier I read an article, right? And I just stumbled upon it because it's crazy because AI is crazy. So I look up things about the Bible or scripture, right? So like, you know how it is. You might open your phone, and just go to Google. It might be based off of something you looked at like 2 months ago. So I
Yeah,
opened my phone. I was about to look at what NBA games was on tonight, the
yeah.
NFL game, and it was a religious thing. And I was like, I was in the bathroom. I was like, fuck it. I clicked it, opened it up,
Yeah,
and so shit. I lost my train of thought. Shit. We was talking about the guy intervening. Then it'll come back to me.
that's God messing you up right now. He's
That's that glitch, man. That's that glitch in the simulation. So shit.
God just spun you around.
I think it has something to do with algorithms. But anyways, if it comes back to me, it comes back. If it don't, it don't. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
speaking about algorithms. So the algorithms take into account some of the environment and variables and some of the characters' state variables to protect and to determine the behavior of both the environment and the character. The visual projection, or what we see on the screen, is for our benefit. It is a subjective projection of some of the variables within the program so that we can experience the sensation of being in the game, right? Because that's what games are like. So, a successful video game, as a creator, you want them to be engaged, right? You want
yeah.
you want
Immersion.
you want you're right. As you're playing it, you want to feel like you're within that game. And I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but it's a movie that was like that. Where
Avatar.
you like, okay, Avatar's one. I believe it's the one called Gamer too, right? I believe it's called
Oh
Gamer,
yeah,
right?
Ready Player One.
That's what, not Game, Ready Player One. So you want, as we play video games, we want to be able to be engaged. We want to feel like we're part of that game.
You
And
know
that's
that
why
you're
they come up with
actually
these,
in it.
right, like these virtual reality games. We put the little glasses or goggles, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
You want to feel like you're within it, and that's like a big money maker right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and it's growing like crazy.
so yeah, like I said, that's what I said. We want to feel the
Because we
sensation
have we
as we're
have the Unreal Engine 5, I think it is now. And man, have you ever seen any of the videos of the Unreal Engine 5? It's a graphical it's an upgrade.
That's what
Um,
PS5 use those, right? Or no?
Unreal Engine is a yeah, damn it. It's a processing, the way it's processed.
Right.
Um, so then it's more realistic. It does more, polygrams and all that stuff. And it looks realistic. It looks
Right.
extremely realistic. It has all the gravities. It has all the collisions and all the cool stuff. So
That's great.
when you wind up watching a video of it, you
Right.
almost truly believe you're watching a legitimate recording of real life. Now,
Right.
that's what they're trying to get with VR. If you wind up putting yourself in VR, well, it's the level of immersion, the
Hmm.
game engine, yeah. So
So
then
yeah,
it's a level of immersion, and that's kind of a dangerous situation. You don't want to have too much immersion because then
I
people
mean,
just get lost in it.
so too much of anything we already said is unhealthy. It's not good for you. But as a gamer, yes, you want all the immersions you could possibly get. You want to be
Yeah,
enveloped into it. You know what I'm saying? Because the
yeah,
more real it is, the more intrigued. People will quit. I seen people quit their jobs off of video games, right? Because they so immersed in that game. You
yeah.
know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, I've seen. Oh, I mean, the days of World of Warcraft was an MMORPG where you created your own thing. I mean, there were reports of people who wouldn't go to work. They would just play it and play it and play it and play it and play it. And then there
yeah,
was one kid who had a psychological break because he played it for a week straight. And
yeah,
he had a break, and it's because he got so immersed into it, too immersed into it, and that's a problem.
yeah. One of my older brothers, I remember years ago. I would say probably like 2000. Let me see, what year was this, man? 2000. Shit. What was it?
I don't remember that
2000,
year.
2007 or something like that. He played that, and I never. Like, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I used to watch him play Warcraft and stuff. I'm like, "Ew, why play this?" But he done lost several. He's lost like 3 or 4 jobs because he was like, "Oh, I got to work at 30 minutes," and he still be on the game. His eyes like this, and like he'll come home at like 8 o'clock, jump right on, and then it'd be like 5 o'clock in the morning. He ain't even close his eyes for 5 minutes,
Yeah,
and he be
I
playing.
listen. It's an addictive situation, and you know what? I wasn't immune to it. I played it. I played it, and I played it a lot. And I
Yeah,
would be, it would be. I wouldn't even notice. I wouldn't even notice I was playing it the entire night. And then 7 a.m. I'm supposed to wake up, and I look at the clock, and I'm
yep.
like, oh my god, it's 6:59. I'm like, oh my god, I literally played through the entire night. I was like, now I got to
And
go to work, and I got to be alert. But then I would come home, I'd be exhausted, but I'm like,
but
no,
still play.
I gotta go back on. I gotta see what's new and what's happening. And the only thing that broke me of it was my computer broke.
Right. That's crazy. I don't think I ever been that engaged in a single thing in my life.
Oh,
Besides the betterment of my life and success that I can have in life, that's the only thing I would equate, and my kids. Those are the only things that I was that heavily invested in, I would say. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But so as we was talking about the game thing, right? The audio visual projections of the game is an integrated subjective interface for the benefit of us. Essentially, someone controlling the simulation, right? Because we already said like if a video game, somebody's controlling it, somebody created it, right?
yeah,
So it's funny how society gravitate towards movies and video games, but they downplay the concepts of life as a simulation. Could it be possible that we are simulated by God? Like, and as we spoke on that already about
yeah,
simulated by God or simulated by an alien. Um, I mean, to me, I mean, it makes perfect sense. As we was just getting into, like, it's just certain things. Like we're programmed, and like from birth we're programmed. Like from the human basic instincts from a baby when they cry and they know how to show emotions at a young age. Like we don't look at it like they're showing emotions. We just look at it like they're trying to find themselves. But in fact,
well,
if
what
you
we
walk out
are
that
is
room,
soon as we're born, we have base programming.
yes,
We have base programming, and but we learn immediately. That's our base programming. Our base programming is immediately learning.
and the key word
And
you're using there is program. See, program. We're programmed.
yep. So as soon as we're born, just like example, just like a deer is born,
Mhm.
well, it
Mhm.
immediately knows that it needs to start walking and that it immediately knows it has to do certain things and all that stuff. Well, it knows that. It was never
Mhm.
taught that, but it has base programming.
Right.
Babies, they're born. Well, they don't know how to cry, but all of a sudden they do. They cry,
They got
and then as they go on, they're like, "All right, well, I know that if I don't feel safe, I'm gonna cry." Or no, nobody taught babies how to laugh. Nobody taught
But
them
they
how to laugh,
thought
but they know
they
how to
laugh out
laugh.
of they laugh out of nowhere
Yep,
with program.
with base programming. But now,
Mhm.
as they get older, and it doesn't take very long for them to be able to learn and reproduce, so they immediately start learning. They learn that if they cry, they get attention from the parent. So then you get
Mhm.
the fake cries. You get fake
Right.
crying, and then they get the attention. And that's where us as higher beings and higher intelligent, we have to see that and be like, oh,
Right.
they learned how to fake cry. They know that if they make that noise, we're going to do this certain thing. So it's at us being more evolved, being more learned, that we have to stop that. A lot of parents don't learn that. A lot of parents don't see that.
Right.
That's why we get a
And,
lot of parents who
and you saw
parent poorly.
and you saw babies like so this thing. Babies are more intelligent than we give them credit for. Like so they like you said, they know how to get attention. And they come out the womb, they cry and they know they get that attention. The
Yeah,
moment you walk out that room, right? They start crying. Let's think even before they open their eyes, right? Because for the mother, so more so about the mother, because they lived inside the mother, right? So once they come outside that mother, the mother can walk away, and they don't smell the mother, or say if they don't feel that heartbeat, they'll cry. So if you ever you the kids, so you pick up the baby and they feel that warmth, they feel that heartbeat, they feel the inhale, the exhale. It soothes them. They calm down. It's a
yeah,
program. You know what I'm saying? They're intelligent from the moment they come out the womb.
yep. There's
We
intelligence everywhere.
yep.
Like even
So
even things that we don't believe are intelligent. Trees are intelligent. They're not intelligent in the way that they know how to go to school and whatnot, and they can't do their taxes, but
right,
they're intelligent in the way of a larger scale intelligence. Now that may be a program. There may be a
right,
program running that. Then
right.
like, okay, well, this happens, but I mean, if you get the example of how does a tree know when to start shutting down for winter?
Hmm.
It's not like somebody runs around and be like, everybody, it's winter, start changing your leaves. Well, there's an
Right, right, right.
intelligence on that. Um, you know, the uh, when uh, when you cut your grass, all right, there's a smell, and that smell is actually been proven to be a distress call. It is a smell that um, the grass is putting out on purpose to warn other things that there is a predator, there is someone who's destroying things.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
so that's what that smell is. Now, if you take grass and you just cut it once, if you start up a lawnmower real quick, you don't smell that smell. You only smell that smell after you've been doing it for a little bit.
Hmm.
When so there's huge intelligence, or it may be programming. We don't know yet. Um,
Right, right.
we
So
haven't gotten to the end.
the integrated subjective interface has no other reason to exist except to serve us. A similar thought experiment can be run with movies. Movies often go into the point of view of characters and try to show us things from their perspective. Whether or not a particular movie scene does this or not, what's projected on the screen and the speakers, right? The integrated experience of the film has no purpose for the characters in the film. It is entirely for our benefit as the viewer.
Well, yeah,
The, the experience of characters is very different from the experience of the player of the game, right? Since we were talking about games.
right.
Um, But between the empty character and the player, there is a gray area where parts of the player and parts of the character combine to some type of consciousness. And we were talking about consciousness before. And this goes back to what we were talking about as far as wanting to feel engaged. You want to feel like you're a part of the game, like you're living in that game,
Yeah,
um,
immersion.
emerging, right? So the players feel some of the disappointments and joys that are designed for the character to feel. The character experiences the consequences of the player's behavior. This is a very, very basic connection between player and the character, right? So
Yeah,
when we talk about like Grand Theft Auto, this is for example, right? It's other
yeah.
video games out there, but characters in Grand Theft Auto, our product most likely is for our benefit and someone experiencing our lives through us, right? Um, that's like sort of like as I wrote that down, it made me think about when we have kids. Well, most people, a lot of people, you ask them like, "Why do you have kids?" or "Why do you want kids?" and they say, "Yeah, the things I never had." Right? I want to be able to bring life into the world and give them the things that I never had, or give them a better life than I had. So, like like that's what I was saying, the connection between player and the character, right? And I was saying it's basically someone experiencing life through us, right? And that's where my mind went with that. Like, so at the end of the day, anything else you want to say about living in the Matrix versus whether life is a simulated world?
So if we're in a matrix, then that means there's a real world, a
Mm,
physical, tangible world, and that we're not actually in the physical, tangible world.
mm-hmm.
Um, so that's one idea. If we're in a simulation, then that means that we're not actually in the real world. There is a real world, but we're not part of it. That we aren't actual things. We cannot escape it. We cannot go and live our lives in the outside world. That we're just bits and pieces. We're, ones and zeros. And as soon as the computer turns off, we're gone. Now, if we were in a matrix, then if the simulation turns off, then we just wake up and we're covered in goo. But so then I I feel as though there's more evidence that we are in a simulation than a matrix.
Yeah.
That we
So
are not. We have no physical outside other than what we are here.
okay, so when I was coming up with like the concept of this one in the previous episode, I was looking at it like the Matrix and simulation being as one, right? That's how I was viewing it. But
Right.
one thing I'm gonna say before we get up out of here is this:
Mhm.
when you said about the Matrix, that means we don't live in the actual world; it's another world, right?
Right.
So let's go before Genesis in the Bible when it says God created heaven and earth, right? So if earth wasn't a thing, where did God dwell?
Where was he
Yes.
before everything was everything?
Yes.
So he could have been a concept, which is a different plane. He could have
Oh,
been from a different dimension.
right.
And he go ahead.
No, I was about to say you said different dimension. That's what I mean. So you said matrix, that means we're not living in the real world. So like if God if so you talk about all right, so that's why I get so confused about the Bible. They say God, they talk about Joseph and all these people.
Hmm.
Where were they living if Earth wasn't a thing? And you know what I'm trying to say? So if Earth wasn't a thing, where did they dwell? So maybe that's the real world, somewhere out in the galaxy, right? And then he
Well, a
created
different
heaven
plane
and
of
earth.
existence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So goes back to the whole premise of the topic is the Matrix. Do we live in a Matrix? Are we God's movie? Are we God's video game?
Well, if we are, then either he's not listening,
Why?
or we're all dumb and we don't see what he's going for.
Right.
Yeah, that's not true. You know what? There are some people who will wind up actually saying that they know exactly what he's going for and that they're living that path. So,
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, because I got to hear it every week. How I live this path, and it's a lot of things. Like I got two of my brothers, they think they're gonna convert me over to the faith, and I just don't never see it happening because all these people that say they walk that path, they live this life, they holy, they righteous, they holy than thou. They got so many skeletons in the closet, but they be so quick to criticize other people that have skeletons in the
well, yeah, from
closet.
what I've learned is that the most Christian people are sometimes the
Hmm.
most horrible people. So I'm not saying that
Yeah.
every Christian's horrible, but I have discovered that there are a
Hmm.
lot of horrible people who are like, I'm very Christian. I'm like, if that's true,
Right.
then I don't know if you're gonna meet Lucifer personally or not.
Yeah.
But,
It's crazy, but so we about to wrap up today.
mhm.
So I'm going to say this to my viewers, my listeners. Tomorrow there will be an episode. I'm not sure on the timing exactly, but if you press that notification bell, obviously you'll be notified. But Fridays are typically reserved for religious conversations, conversations about God, the Bible, things of that nature. So, if you're into that, if you're not into that, if you straddle on the fence, please join me, right? So that's going to conclude tonight's episode. Denny's always been a pleasure. For everybody that's been watching, I hope
Yep.
you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And have a blessed night.
Have a great night. Bye bye.
All right.